Right, they've caused uproar in Ascot, raised a few eyebrows in Wimbledon, even turned heads at Henley last week. Tattoos seem to be dominating the headlines at the moment.
But while some say that this brazen body art should be kept under wraps, others are proud to show them off.
So are tattoos tacky or tasteful? Here to debate the issue, Jodie Marsh, who's lost count of the amount of tattoos she has, and psychotherapist Marissa Peer, who says that they look common and chavvy. So let's have a look at these stories. Tattooed racegoer Joanna Southgate caused a bit of a stir at Ascot. She bared her heavily tattooed arms. Outrage onlookers claim that she should not have got past the Ascot fashion police, who enforced a strict dress code. Then, just days after, Czech tennis player Karolina Pliskova, an American doubles champion, Bethany Mattek-Sands, made the papers for proudly displaying their tattoos at Wimbledon. And finally, Laura Simpson turned heads at the Henley Royal Regatta. She displayed her Japanese-style tattoos, which cover both her arms, chest and neck. Fellow spectators claim her look was simply not in keeping with the refined event and should be covered up. Not in keeping with the refined event.
Terrible behaviour.
But you've got over 100, and you say each one of yours is a moment of your life. It's meaningful to you.
Yeah, they are. My whole sleeve is like my life story in pictures. It's obviously I've got people like Michael Jackson and Buddy Holly. They're people I grew up listening to their music and still to this day love more than anything. I've got all sorts of things. I've got things from my mum and dad on here, the Harley that I ride. Got a paparazzi camera.
Is there anything that you've got on there that you regret?
No. The only one that I don't like is this one, and only because I think it should have been on that hand, so it came down as part of the sleeve.
Hold your hand still so we can see what that one is, so we just get a shot of that one. So that's that one. You think it should have been on that
should have been on that hand, so then it all came down as part of it, because now it's just floating on its own, which I don't like.
Marissa, I can look at your face there. You're sort of going, yes, lovely. Now, your daughter had a tattoo, didn't she?
Did, yeah.
And against your will. I mean, you were very cross about this.
I really tried to talk her out of it, and her stepmother too. I was very against her having it, because everyone I know, apart from Jodie obviously, regrets having them. I see so many people who say, I really wish I hadn't had it done, and they take minutes to put on and years to remove.
But it's their choice. They like them. She loves it. It's telling the story of her life. So what's the problem?
The problem, I think, is that they show you that someone is impulsive and doesn't think ahead. I mean, my own dentist has got tattoos, and he said he really, really regrets it because people judge him for his tattoos, and it's cost him work, actually.
But what's wrong with being impulsive?
Well, it's not a great quality necessarily. I mean, there's some good things. But as an employer, I wouldn't employ someone who had a sleeve of tattoos, because it would say to me, this is an impulsive person who doesn't actually think ahead, and that isn't the kind of person I'd want to.
But doesn't that
I might like them.
It might say of them that they're impulsive, but it would say of you that you're incredibly, maybe, judgmental and a little bit shallow to only look skin deep, wouldn't it?
I could see that. It wouldn't mean I wouldn't like them as a person, and it wouldn't mean that I couldn't see, you know, the art in it, but I just think most people I know regret them, and the reason I didn't want my daughter to have them is because I thought that she would regret it. It was just a personal thing, that's what I think they say, but I would never say, I don't like a person who's got tattoos, or I don't think they're a lovely, valid, attractive person. I just don't like tattoos.
Jodie, you've gone one step further. I mean, you had your nan's ashes made up and tattooed onto you, didn't you? So, I mean, that's not something you're going to regret, because that's something that's not impulsive.
I feel like my nan, I had her ashes crushed up into the ink and tattooed into me, and I feel like she's with me forever.
Which
now.
one is that one?
It's on my leg. It's that one there that actually says Little Nan.
No, it's just keep.
Yeah,
we'll get that. There you go.
Hang on, I'm getting up.
There we are.
That one.
That one
so
there.
and that's got your nan's ashes
That's
inside.
got my nan's ashes in it. The whole tattoo was done with her ashes, and I felt like, because when I was given her ashes, I didn't want to, like, a lot of people said, oh, we buried them in the garden, you know, and made a nice, like, planted a tree around it or whatever, and I was like, but if I move house, then, like, her ashes are gone, because then they're in that garden and I might move house, so I wanted to keep them with me, so I said, well, that's the best way to have them with me forever. And I do feel that one is really, really special to me. You know, I love that tattoo.
Is there a problem with that? That's a lovely gesture.
No, I can see that as a lovely gesture. I mean, I know someone who had their dog's ashes made into a stone, and they wear it all the time as a piece of jewellery. I can see that because I loved my nan. I can absolutely see that, keeping them with you. But I still think there's a better way of having your nan as a part of body art that isn't actually engraved into your body. So I can see why she did that. In some ways, I think that's quite lovely, but I wouldn't actually want my daughter to do that.
You say
Not
that...
morbid, no, because I loved my nan. I mean, I could see having the ashes and a little bit of jewellery so that she's with you all the time, but with tattoos is you can never... Well, you can, but it's so hard to remove them. It's such a permanent thing.
I mean, I can see your point completely, that if you get a tattoo impulsively and you haven't thought it through, that you will end up regretting it. And certainly I always say to people, don't get fashion tattoos. Like, when people go and get, like, a Japanese koi carp or something like that, because it's in fashion at the moment, it won't be fashionable in 5 years' time. But when you get tattoos that mean something to you, like all of mine do, and they all have a purpose, a meaning, and a story to tell...
I'm too scared to get a tattoo because I know that I changed my mind. So I kind of agree. For me personally, I know it wouldn't work, so I choose something and then I change my mind. So when I got married and Fern Cotton was my bridesmaid, as her bridesmaid present, I got her my tattoo that I'd like to have if I was brave enough, and she's got 3 stars behind her ear, and that's... If I could do it, that's what I'd do. So she's got mine.
Well, it's all the barbed wire was very fashionable, wasn't it? You know, Pamela Anderson, she did that thing called barbed wire, and everyone was having the barbed wire around their thigh and around their arm and even around their wedding finger, and now that's actually very unfashionable.
Yeah.
It's sort of gone.
So, you shouldn't get fashion tattoos.
And that's the problem. And the other problem is that, you know, I know when my daughter had her tattoo, you're supposed to be 18, but actually a lot of girls of 14 and 15 just get fake ID and have them done when they're incredibly young. And it's very hard to stop that. So you get 15-year-olds having someone's name put right up their arm, and then...
Well, Katie Price in question, I mean, she had the... there you go. I mean, she's actually crossed that tattoo out.
And Patsy Kensit, who had Liam on her arm, and Johnny Depp had Winona, and they all had to
you should get that story of the pregnant lady, which is it your story?
It's
the lady,
my story.
Is it your story?
One of my clients had married somebody, and she had her previous boyfriend's name tattooed on her stomach, on her hip. And when she got pregnant, he said every day he watched this ex-man's name get bigger and bigger, and it just drove him mad. He was just so angry about it, and she couldn't actually get it taken off throughout the pregnancy because it was a laser technique, and that was an interesting case. She had someone's name put on her stomach and lived to regret it.
What about when you have kids, and your 13, 14, whatever age daughter comes to you or son and says, "I'm going to get a tattoo"? What do you say?
If they were old enough...
What's old enough?
Well, past 16, 17, say. I wouldn't let them have it any younger than that. But if they were like 16, 17, 18 and they wanted one, I would allow them to have it, but I would give them a very harsh talking to about it first and explain to them that they can't just have it because it's fashionable. It's got to mean something to them. It's got to be something that for the rest of their life they will be happy with.
What age were you when you had your first one?
I was 16 when I had my first one done.
What about your family? What did they think?
They hated them for years. They hated them. And funny enough, I learned how to tattoo a couple of years ago and took it up like all day, every day. And they only changed their minds on tattoos when I started doing it as an art. They then decided they liked them, and now my dad's got one and he's 63.
But what about this aspect of being discriminated against if you go for a job?
I don't like this. I really don't like this attitude, because I do think, nothing personal to you, but I do think it's a very shallow attitude. It's like saying you won't employ someone with a tattoo. You might as well say I won't employ someone with blonde hair. You know, or with fake boobs or whatever. It's not fair, and it's too judgmental.
Last word.
Well, you know, there are even some countries that you can't go into with tattoos. You have to cover them up. So again, it's the lack of forward thinking. It is wrong, but it's how people are. They judge you, and we are judgmental, and they judge you with tattoos, rightly or wrongly. That's what happens.
We've got the results of our tattoo debate. We asked, is it tasteful or tacky? 61% said tasteful. 39% said tacky. So there you go. But thank you very much indeed for taking part in that. And Kaylee says, I have 3 stars tattooed on my hip. Each represents someone in my life who's passed away. We'll have more of your questions, your comments in the hub a little bit later on. Thank you.
Coming up, Tom Conti.